to and that actually work for my schedule. Well, universally across the board, and I found this out later on when I actually joined a Facebook group with other meetup organizers, we all found that if we were hosting free events, and it is free to join a meetup group, right? They're usually not a fee, even though I think some meetup groups do start to charge now. But we all noticed across the board, no matter how many people RSVP'd, we'd usually have about a 50% show up rate. So half the people that would RSVP would actually come to the event. And this was, again, pretty consistent across meetups. And this is because there was no real friction to sign up for a meetup, right? You had to sign up for the site. Once you had an account, you just hit the RSVP button. You may not have even checked your schedule before. You might just go, oh, that looks like a cool event. Yeah, maybe I'll attend. And you just hit RSVP that you're going, but you really don't have any skin in the game, so to speak. There's no real reason for you to follow through and show up. And a lot of people would just not show up and they wouldn't change their RSVP to say they couldn't make it. They're very rare did people actually give you the courtesy of doing that. So it's just something we were used to as meetup organizers. And you'll probably find this too with other things that you do in your life. If you say, oh, this is free, maybe you show up, maybe you don't. It's really not a big deal and you're not going to lose anything by not showing up. So for this reason, I found that, communities where people, again, are either really committed for some deep intrinsic reason, or if they've actually paid to be part of the community, I usually just find a much more supportive, much more interactive, engaged, and high quality group of people. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking for a connection. But I do encourage you to check out sites like Meetup as well. Also to connect with people in your community that you might find that have different events, because this can be a way that you can actually find new groups to be a part of and new language learning communities that may already be around you. The second way that being part of a language learning community can really skyrocket your progress as you're trying to reach Spanish fluency is inspiration. Being inspired and staying inspired and motivated is one of the biggest reasons why people don't make it to their ultimate goal. Maybe you start out and you're full of energy, you're thinking, yes, I want to learn Spanish, I'm going to speak Spanish fluently, but then something happens, right? Maybe something happens at work, right? Maybe you get a promotion, or maybe you get a new job, maybe you have a child, maybe you move to a different city, you make new friends, or maybe you just honestly find something else in your life that you find is more worth your time. And before you know it, time's passing and you really haven't made the progress towards fluency that you wanted. Being in a community can really help you stay inspired and stay motivated, because you'll get new ideas all the time from people who are also learning Spanish, practicing the language, and want to get fluent. You get to hear other people's wins, so the progress they're making, things that are working for them. You get to share your wins. And also, if there's any new resources or approaches out there to learning language that are effective, you actually can find out what's been validated by someone in a community you trust, instead of just doing random Google searches or looking for a YouTuber that might be reviewing a product. Here you actually will find out things that someone has recently implemented if you're actively engaged in a community. So being able to share those stories with other people and being able to hear other people's stories really can inspire you to keep moving forward, especially at those times when you've lost sight of your goal or you're not sure how you're going to stick through another day, another week, especially if you start getting into grammar. That can be kind of tough. So the third way that being part of a language learning community can really help you make progress faster is accountability. So you definitely will want to join a community if you're one of those people who will really only do something 100% if you know that someone else is depending on you to get it done. You will want to show up for other people in the community, and you'll want to follow through with your commitment to yourself and to them. So whether it's showing up for community events, whether it's promising someone that you're going to look up a resource for them, or share an idea, or share what you learned that week, these are all ways to get yourself to follow through, because now you're accountable to someone else. So accountability can be a really powerful thing that I think a lot of us discount, especially those loners out there. If you're used to learning on your own, you may think I'm just accountable to myself. But trust me, even if you're used to learning independently, having other people involved in the process and holding you accountable, people that you're sharing your goals with, that know what you're doing, that can check in with you and say, hey, so what happened to you working on learning the past tense last month? How did that go for you? Having that accountability can really, really be powerful to help us stay on track and keep moving forward. The fourth reason why you really want to consider joining a language learning community is practice. You'll have an opportunity to practice conversation in Spanish with other language learners that you actually know instead of just random people that you meet on an app. Now, you ladies out there know what I'm talking about. You know how many times have you signed up for an app and say, I want to practice speaking Spanish. My native language is English. And you start getting these friend requests and messages from people, and they're asking you questions that really indicate that maybe they want a little bit more than a conversation partner. Okay, that happens quite a bit. So I think that being a part of a community means that you really get to solidify a group of people that you can practice conversation with, because again, you're all connected with that common purpose of reaching Spanish fluency. And of course, you want to make new friends, but you want to also make sure that you're all there for the same reason. So getting that conversation practice in a comfortable, non-intimidating environment where you're not worried about someone judging you or thinking you might say something wrong. It really does take practice to get used to having those conversations. And being in a community of people that you see each and every week, day in and day out, you're sharing with each other, you get comfortable as a group, then it really becomes a lot easier to practice conversation, and you really need that conversation practice time if you're going to reach Spanish fluency. And the last benefit of being a part of a community, instead of just sort of learning on your own and trying to figure things out, is that it's just a lot more fun. It's much more fun when you're learning with a group. You will definitely enjoy learning Spanish, speaking Spanish, that whole process of getting to fluency a lot more if you are a part of a group that just makes it fun. You'll be meeting new people, you'll be making friends, and through those new connections, you'll start to really notice that it actually is much more enjoyable to do something when you're not the only one. And you will definitely do more often and with more enthusiasm and focus and energy the things that you actually enjoy. So I always recommend, if something is not fun, what is the point? Because again, we are human beings, and it is very hard for us to push ourselves to do things that we find difficult, that we find boring, that we find lonely, that we find, quite honestly, we don't even remember why we were doing it in the first place, right? So we really do need to spend that time to focus on how we can do things